Hello class, today we're gonna learn something new, a terminology called relief sculpture. R-E-L-I-E-F, sculpture, relief sculpture. This type of sculpture is same as regular sculpture, which has the height, the width, and the depth. Okay, it goes into 3D space, into depth. Okay, just like any object has height, how high is it, how wide is it, and how deep into space it goes. How deep is it? So we have these three terminologies when we're measuring things. So I could take a measurement of this side and I would find out that it is about 10 inches. That is called the width, is 10 inches. The height is about 8 inches, and the depth, I'll go inside, is about 1 inch. So the differences between regular sculpture, like if this was a sculpture, it's a can, but some artists can call it a sculpture too. The difference between the relief sculpture, a special new vocabulary we're learning, relief sculpture, and regular sculpture is that relief has one flat side that can be hung on the wall. And today we're going to practice relief sculpture. So for example, this one was made out of clay, air dry clay, and basically flattened so that there is the back side flat, and so we can put it against the wall, or in this case the lunch tray that we're recycling, and it still has all those dimensions we discussed. So we are also going to be adding some beautiful paper fans in addition to creating relief sculpture, practicing with this air dry clay. We're going to be making festive pumpkins since it's almost the season with the leaves. And this particular clay is so dry that you can even use your marker and draw the designs directly on it. We're using a raffia for the clothing of the Scarecrow. We're using some scraps for the head, like these. Maybe some ribbon or something that we have handy. Maybe some googly eyes to give our Scarecrow some eyes. And a sticky little sun in the background. These were just little stars that we can practice from just regular paper, scrap paper, and we can just practice making some stars by punching with a puncher like so, and then gluing it to the back of our sculpture. And these type of reliefs are very popular also in Mexico. In Mexico, they're called retablos, and September 15 through October 15 is actually Hispanic Heritage Month. So we can also connect it to that culture. And I'll show you some examples of the Hispanic retablos relief sculpture. They have little churches and little scenes with the sugar skull people and everything. It's very precious. And today we're making our own little fall scene with a scarecrow guarding the pumpkins. And it looks like a beautiful evening with the moon out and the white picket fence. So let's get started. Okay, first thing, we're gonna get our little wooden dowel scarecrow that we're gonna decorate. We can draw a triangle for the nose and little wiggly mouth with little lines over it, like if it's sewn on for the face, eyes, any way you like to decorate your scarecrow. You can use your markers, pencils, or whatever you have in your supply box. We can do a little bit of hair here and there. And when you're happy with your scarecrow face, we're gonna leave the body alone for now. I have these little cute little paper wrappers you can use as a hat. And all you need is a little piece so you can share it with your table partner. But they're just cute little already ready-made hats that we can use. Even that is too big for our hat. This would be perfect probably. Let's use two. I'm gonna wedge the hat in between these two. I'm gonna put glue on back of one, and as I wedge them in between, should just seal the head just perfectly so it stays on. Perfect, that's on. Or you can just decorate it or use a fabric, whichever the look that you like better. Or you can use both and cut a piece of burlap like this. And see, smaller is better, it seems. And just decorate your head. Oh, that looks perfect. See, we've got a little different version now. And for the next step, you're gonna be using this raffia paper, and we can have different colors, but basically all we're gonna do is wrap. Let's put some glue on the body so it stays right away. Some of the paper over the scarecrow this way. Put more glue. Now put some of the paper the other way. Kind of crisscrossing. So you're gonna need two pieces. And then you should find a little piece of raffia that looks like this. Go underneath the arms that are there. For the arms you can fray, so this looks like there is straw coming out of the arms, because the real actual scarecrows are also made out of straw. So this will look like straw hands. And then to hold this in place, we are going to use the other skinny raffia that we're gonna wrap around a couple of times. You can even crisscross it, see how I did? Same thing like in this picture. And I'm just gonna tie a knot on the back. Once and twice. I can save these little pieces for my hair. If I wanted to add hair with this, I would just glue little pieces to the head. I'll show you how. And the back of the head, I'll cut little tiny pieces of this and then put lots of glue on the back of the head, like so. I hope you can see it on the camera fine. Maybe I could zoom in a little closer. Maybe not. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep adding them, the little hair pieces on the back of my scarecrow's head. And they're gonna show from the front too once you're done with it. This is gonna be so much fun when we're done. It's gonna look really neat. Okay, so that's the back of him. This is the front. See how we can see the hair from the front too? And now we just gotta fray the rest of the body of the scarecrow to make it look like a straw, of course. So using your smaller scissors. I'm using these just for the time sake because the video, I don't want it to be so long. I want to give you more time to create in art and have a longer class to not have to wait till I get done with this. But basically you're gonna fray it all. You're gonna cut it to any size that you want with however you like the look of your scarecrow. And now, if you want to, you can decorate like I did here, the bottom of the stick with a little piece of burlap, if you have any left in your supply box. So you can put some glue stick here, there, or if you like to pretend that he's got a little patch, the leftovers of what you cut you can use as a patch for his clothing. Be creative, you know, you can make it any way you like. But this is the first part and that's done. Now we're gonna use a scrap paper. So whatever paper that is in your supply box you can use to cut the little fence. And that's the simplest and easiest thing to do, because all we have to do is cut some rectangles. So we're gonna just go across and we're gonna cut enough of these fences, and some of them will do this way. This is vertically and this is horizontally. So up and down is vertical, side to side is horizontal. So you can make different sizes of the fence because the fence is gonna be different and crooked. Some are longer, some are shorter. It looks like an old fence. Okay, so we have all the parts. We're gonna need to make few of these stars from our leftover paper so that we are ready to glue it onto our tray and start assembling. Assembling is putting together. Start assembling our relief sculpture, which is a paper sculpture. And I wanted to show you paper. This is another example of a paper sculpture. This is a school of fish made out of cardboard. See the googly eye? And what is the relief sculpture again? This one is a little more difficult. This is real sculpture, so the bird has 3 sides all around. This bird has also depth, but it has one flat side from the back, so it can be hung on the wall. Okay, so that is the difference. It's a sculptural work of art that is 3D and popped out on the front, but it has a flat back that can be hung on the wall. Okay, so now we have all the components together and we're ready to assemble. That's a big word, assemble. Okay, so let's get started. First, we're gonna need the lunch tray that we saved from lunch, not throwing it away and recycling so it doesn't end up in the landfill. So I have one underneath right here. And now I am gonna attach my scarecrow with a glue stick. I'm gonna put some glue stick right on the tray, like so. Perfect. Okay, now next step is I'm gonna start putting glue on all these raised edges of the tray so that I can start building my fence. I can put some fence behind the scarecrow too, make a nice straight line, and the glue will adhere it. And on the other side too. And if I cut it too long, I'm gonna, of course, shorten it, like so. And I'm gonna start putting glue on the back of each paper strip and gluing it straight back on in a kind of whimsical way. It doesn't have to be straight. It can be crooked. It will remind you of an old fence somewhere in countryside at grandma's house, like my grandma's was. That was old and served for many years as a nice garden fence. So this scarecrow will be guarding a nice garden plot where Grandma would be growing her pumpkins and other vegetables. So I went to Walmart the other day and I picked up a small pumpkin, and I have planted the seeds about a week ago, and they're almost 2 inches in height now. Might have been 10 days now, and they're just precious. They have already big leaves. Pumpkins are very famous for having nice, thick, big leaves, and they need a lot of space, sun. And here in Florida, we've got lots of sun, so we don't have any problems with that. So I have my fence now. And now I'm gonna glue some stars. And I'm just gonna put the glue on the back of the tray. And I will put my little paper stars in the back, make it nice and whimsical. And this is very easy, maybe one more here. And the last fun part, the funnest part of all, is creating these pumpkins out of the clay. And each student, when they're done with this part, will get one packet of this air dry clay for the pumpkins and one new packet for the leaves. So we've got in a box, in your supply box, 2 per student. So you can cut the wrap and leave it out like this. And don't cut yourself, be very careful when you open the wrap. And then you can start having fun sculpting the real leaf sculpture pumpkins. So all I do when I do that is I make a little flat circle and I start stacking them up. And they're kind of self-leveling after a while. They just start adhering to it. Good practice is also to use a pencil and kind of push them in. You can also make those pumpkin lines when you're pushing them in. Nice and festive looking in the field. And I'm just making round circles, kind of making it look oval or different shapes. Pumpkins have organic shapes. They can be taller, wider, shorter, and it's never a perfect oval or perfect circle. It's always organic, meaning the shape is never the same. It's different. And you can start adding leaves while you're working too on each of your pumpkin. Nice little leaf shapes as you go. Really nice and easy. And this will take us till the end of the class. Before we go, we're gonna make sure that we add some shading, like crisscross hatching. See? I'm going vertically and horizontally. I'm making crisscross. That's called cross hatching or crisscross hatching. And we're putting shading, like if the fence is old there, and creating some shading on it. And this will take us to the end of the class. So we're gonna keep working on our pumpkins, adding as many as we can make out of our allowance, which was the 2 packets of the air dry clay. And when you're happy with your pumpkin field, finish it maybe even using a black marker like this. You can add some lines and draw straight on top of the air drying clay. And just like that, you still have a little good ways to go, but I'm gonna end the video and let you finish it by yourself. Now is your turn.